Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to this three-part 25th episode of The Adam Show. Hope you're having a good weekend. I've got my new friend here, Mr. Dangles, behind us. Beautiful old black horse. Here in the neighborhood where I'm staying in Linden right now. So yeah, our first guest on the show. Alright, so my sister Megan asked a question a little while back about whether or not it's good to do a bad thing if you think that it will bring about a good result or it's for a good reason. Now, I've always had issues with this kind of thinking simply because I think if you're going to make a decision like that, you really need to be in that moment and have all the information. Every decision, every situation you're in is going to be different. So I tend to shy away from these big ideological philosophical black and white questions. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that you can't have this discussion. Anyone who's taken an ethics class or an intro to philosophy class has probably had to build an argument for or against something like this. You know, is it okay to torture if we know that we'll get information from the person we're torturing that will save countless lives? I think it's fun to do that. But you got to understand, like, that situation even, that's the one that's used, I think, a lot in ethics classes. We don't generally in real life actually get good information from the majority of the people we torture. So you're not likely to actually get the information you need. So we take it out of the context of this vacuum of philosophical conversation, and we realize that it's a lot more complicated than that. Real life is more complicated. So Megan, I would say no, it's not okay to do a bad thing to get a good result, because you really have no idea what that result is going to be. And generally, bad choices, bad things lead to bad results. Now, a similar question was posed from a good friend of ours, Justin Burt, a while back. That question was about terraforming, the ethics of terraforming other planets. And for that one, I took a trip out to one of my favorite parks up here in the Pacific Northwest, the North Lake Whatcom Trail. So let's check that out. Some highlights from that episode. So the idea behind terraforming another planet is to give humans another place to escape to in case of some sort of environmental catastrophe, if a meteor hits Earth, something like that. Now, this would be an extremely slow process where we pump carbon dioxide and methane, other greenhouse gases into Mars' atmosphere in order to warm it up. This would potentially take hundreds of years, if not more. Elon Musk has a plan to send satellites to Mars with big mirrors on them to reflect more sunlight down onto Mars' surface, which could potentially help warm it up quicker. The problem is, we don't really know if this is even feasible or possible. So can we turn Mars into this? I'm not so sure. The problem is we don't know what life forms we would destroy while we're warming the planet, and we also don't know what types of life forms we might potentially create. So this creates a very big ethical problem. So yeah, Justin, I think the real question comes, by the time we know that we can terraform another planet and set that in motion, we'd have to decide, is it moral, is it ethical to potentially kill off these life forms that we're just learning about? What will it create? We also have to ask ourselves, if we have that technology, if we can do that, shouldn't we use those resources here on our own planet first to perhaps fix the environmental harm we've done to it to make it more livable for future generations? Right, that was a fun, beautiful little trek. I hope you enjoyed that episode. Go on back and check it out if you want to, if you haven't seen it yet. Now, I also did an episode at Stewart Mountain, a different hike, an uphill hike. A really beautiful day. I answered some questions on that episode from my cousin Amy and a few other people. It was just a fun, beautiful, gorgeous day. So let's take a look at some of the highlights from that hike. It's always good to have these old logging roads. That's a good thing about this DNR land. You know, there's a lot of different stuff you can hike on. Look at that. Bellingham, Lake Whatcom, the Olympic Mountains, foothills. Just gorgeous up here. The other nice thing about this DNR land, as opposed to some of these other trails, is you don't have to worry about social distancing up here. Yep. All right, guys. Yeah, it does not look like the clouds are going to clear off in Canada, unfortunately. But yeah, let me go ahead and answer a question real quick. Cousin Amy, another great one. If there was anyone in history that I could choose as my roommate, my bunkmate, who would it be? I loved your answer. Julia Childs, great woman, great chef. That would be great. You know, you'd always have a good meal, plus great conversation. I'd probably go with Teddy Roosevelt. He's always been my favorite president. Progressive, but pragmatic, a big outdoorsman. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. I think I could live with him, perhaps in a cabin in the woods, somewhere up like this. He probably wouldn't be too happy about all this clear cutting, but yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. There you go. Beautiful hike, huh? Teddy Roosevelt as a roommate. That's quite an interesting choice, eh? Yeah, I find that I tend to gravitate towards these historical figures that are a little more forward thinking. You know, Teddy Roosevelt was kind of the original progressive, not in the pejorative partisan sense that we tend to think of the word progressive in, but at a time in this country where most Americans agreed that we needed to make some changes moving forward to ensure that everyone could succeed, could live a good life, and also make some changes as it came to environmental policy and things like that. The establishment of the national parks. I just like people who are committed to something. Sorry, I had to step out of the way there, give those people plenty of room. Yeah, people like that just, I think, are great historical figures, you know. Take myself, for instance. You know, I'm committed to this show. You may have noticed I've been wearing the same shirt for 3 days now. Now, this is all about continuity, guys, because I care about you, the viewer. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in to part 3 of the 25th episode of The Adam Show. Hope you enjoyed it. We have him back here, Mr. Dangles, still on the show, but he is not really into being a part of this. Mr. Ed, he is not. So Mr. Dangles will be the official horse of The Adam Show. We'll see if he wants to participate a little more moving forward. But anyway, I hope you all have a good week. If you're an essential worker, thank you so much. If you are working from home, stay focused. And if you're not working at all, maybe find something constructive, creative, rewarding to do with yourselves. So I will leave you all today with the sounds of Semiahmoo Bay and the Salish Sea. This is from Thursday's episode. Relax and enjoy. See you all later.